I'm Vikki Kassioras. I was born in Melbourne, Australia, and I'd like to welcome you to my studio in the Nicholas Building. I came to jewellery after some time as a chef, and I always had a creative bent, and I enjoyed photography and making ceramics. And I guess when I decided that maybe cooking wasn't for me, I decided to look into more creative schooling. So I visited RMIT Fine Arts and I looked into the gold and silversmithing school, and there I had quite an emotional reaction to seeing the room with the benches. And that's when I realised that I had to learn more about gold and silversmithing and actually try and get some skills together so that I could get a folio together and actually try and get into RMIT. I had really great teachers. One of my mentors who we studied with right from the beginning was a lady called Marion Marshall, who is a really amazing teacher, but she's also an amazing contemporary jewellery artist in her own right. And one of the other mentors and teachers who I really loved being taught by was Robert Baines, who introduced me to fusing, which is a technique that I still use in my work today. Fusing is a technique that really, the golden age of fusing was with the Etruscans, and the pieces that we have left over from them are really exquisite and incredibly fine. And fusing is using the natural properties of a metal and heating it up to just as it melts, and that melting over the join is what creates the strength in the join. So it means that you don't use any solder. The pieces are pure sterling silver, and it's a very strong join, and it also has characteristics of its own because the surface texture of the silver is affected, and so it gives you this kind of aspect to things that you can't completely control. So you have an expertise with it, but it can also kind of do its own thing, which I really love because I think that that makes every piece unique. Even though I make similar pieces, each join is unique and each piece is unique because of that. My work has often been described like it could have been dug up, and I do really play with that idea because I think that I actually like the idea that something has had a history and a past, and that we're just coming to that object and using it as part of its past. So things come into our lives, we use them, and then they go out, and I like my jewellery to already have that feeling, and that's why I love fusing and the texture that it gives. And I love the fact that that texture also with wear will change. So as that person wears it, it will actually change through the way that they touch it and the way that it moves on their body. And that's a really important aspect of my work that I do think of quite a bit. For me, entering into the right space when I'm making is really important. I need to feel calm because I feel that that's when I get the best work. It means that I can be in a good flow, and I can draw upon all the things that are important to me in my design process, and I can make a piece that I'm really proud of and that I feel maybe captures some of that calm. I don't ever want to make a piece if I'm upset. I always try and hold a good space in my studio. I'm inspired very much by things that really delighted me in my childhood. I still go to museums. I absolutely love classical mythology. It was one of my favourite things when I was little and I went to Greek school. I always really loved Artemis because as a child I thought it was so wonderful that this woman could roam the forests with her band of animals and her quiver and her bow and arrow, and I just thought that she was just such an amazing figure, and she had such a feeling of freedom and youth about her, and as a child it really captivated my imagination. I loved the Arabian Tales as a child, so I made some work that was based around the idea of people being in a garden with peacocks. So I do draw inspiration from different places. I do a lot of research. I look at a lot of books. I look back on photos that I've taken in museums and galleries. I've been lucky enough to go to the Louvre. I've been lucky enough to visit museums in London, in India through my travels. I think it's really important to be authentic to your work and really find the things that capture your imagination, and so that you can offer people something new and a different view of the world, which I think is a big part of being an artist, offering a different view. Culturally, I identify myself as Australian, but my Greek heritage is really important to me. My parents were born and lived in Greece, and we speak Greek at home, and it has a big effect on me, but I do really feel Australian, and I really feel part of this place. I was born here and I studied here, and very much of the way that I think comes from where I am. I think having parents who care about their heritage and who care about the arts. My mum loves literature. Both my parents have always taken me to museums here in Melbourne, as well as in Greece when we visited. It was just an important part of my family's life. Identifying with pieces in a museum as being from somewhere that you are from, there's something quite special about that, and feeling that you're actually part of that line of something. Even though I was born here in Melbourne, Australia, I still feel that there is a line going back to people who were making something in ancient Greece, or at least I'd like to think that there might be. The Dakos recipe, I visited Greece a few times on my own, and I always go and spend time with my family that I have in Crete. And it was a recipe that was shown to me by my aunt, and it was one of those recipes that was just so easy and so delicious that I just fell in love with it. It sort of shows the heartiness of Greek cuisine. It was what the people ate when they were working in the fields in Crete. It was the dry rusks, it was the tomatoes, and it was the local cheese. And I just feel that it's such a healthy way to eat, and it's a summer dish that lots of people can enjoy. Greek food to me means home, and it means mum and dad, and it means that a coming together of people and enjoying dishes that have been prepared with love. I love the simplicity of it. Well, I've had friends who've kind of commented on the use of lemon juice all the time, and olive oil and oregano in so many things, but really those things are basically just there to add something to really fresh quality ingredients, and that's what I love about Greek food. It's the simplicity of the ingredients and the freshness of ingredients that make for a really amazing experience. I often wonder, when my pieces go out into the world, that next part of their story and what it will be. And I'm always intrigued when I see somebody that I don't know in a cafe or walking down the street who's wearing a piece of mine, and I'm absolutely amazed because I feel so happy that they're wearing a piece and it looks amazing on them, but I also feel a little bit of a step removed from it and feel like it's on its own life and journey. And I did see a lady one time when I was waiting for a coffee in line, and she was walking towards me, and I saw she was wearing gold earrings, and I was mesmerized by them, and then I realized as she came closer that they were my pair of earrings, and I just absolutely loved that. I absolutely love that, and it was like they weren't mine, and when I realized they were, it was a really great feeling. I love the fact that people choose to wear my jewelry every day. I think that's a really special part of making. I guess every day when I come to the studio and I make things, I do keep that in mind. It's almost like they're just mine for a little while, and then they go out into the world, and other people imbue their stories, and they imbue their own importance into a piece. And the part that I play is kind of the beginning of that, and then it goes off.